Hi, I'm Rod Sinclair. This is the first of a series of lessons on slide guitar. The slide guitar that I'm using, I've got tuned to an open G chord. I'm going to make the assumption in these lessons that you've played guitar before, so I don't have to explain some of the basic principles of guitar playing. I'm going to make the assumption that you have played standard guitar and now you're going to try and play slide guitar. So in this first little session, what I'm going to look at is choosing a guitar, setting the guitar up, and choosing a slide. Now, the most important thing about playing slide guitar is that you have a guitar set up properly. If you use a guitar in standard tuning, it doesn't work very well. Standard tuning is set up for playing standard melodic material. A lot of slide material is based on drones. Open tunings works really well for drones. We'll talk about this in a little while. Now the instrument itself, this instrument is a little guitar made by a guitar maker called Nigel Foster, who would love this plug. And it's set up in such a way that I've raised the action and put on a set of heavy strings. Now when we talk about raising the action, there are several different ways you can do this. You can do it by adjusting the bridge, either by replacing the bridge piece or getting somebody else to do this, raising the action at this end of the guitar and possibly at the nut end as well. Sometimes it's necessary to raise the action here so that you don't get too much sound of the slide against the frets at the bottom end. Now this helps also if you use a heavier set of strings. In standard tuning, people tend to use lighter strings because it's easy to use on your fingers. Now, in slide guitar, what you really need to do is to have strings with quite a lot of tension. Because you're not fretting the strings, the actual weight of the strings is not as important as fretting the strings. You don't have to worry about this too much because you're actually sliding over and above the frets. This guitar started off with what I would call a set of medium acoustic strings, which are from a 13 on the top, I think it goes down to a 56 on the bottom. I've gradually worked up from there to put on slightly heavier strings on the top. I think this is now a 14 on the top, and the second is slightly heavier as well. So getting the guitar set up in this way, we produce a guitar with a higher action, heavier strings, and we're going to go into an open tuning to give access to more drones, which helps in self-accompanied guitar playing. This guitar is, this is quite a nice guitar, hopefully. The good thing about slide guitar playing is you can use a very, very cheap instrument. It's better to set up a cheap instrument well than to use a more expensive instrument that isn't set up properly. So if you're interested in doing this, if this is your first started playing slide guitar, buy a cheap acoustic guitar, use something you have lying around, heavy strings, high action, and we're off to a good start with that. Now as far as the tuning goes, I'll talk through the tuning on this. I've got this set to an open G tuning. Now the most common slide guitar tunings are open G tuning and an open D tuning. I would really advise starting with one tuning, spend a lot of time with the one tuning before moving on to another one. It takes quite a lot of time just to orientate yourself around the instrument, find out where everything is. Now, getting into this tuning from standard tuning is relatively easy. I'll talk through the notes from the bottom. I'll play them at the same time. So the 6th string, we're starting off with an open D. The 5th string, we're starting off with an open G. The 4th string, we're starting with a D. Now the 4th string is exactly the same as standard tuning, being a D. The 3rd string is a G, which is exactly the same as standard tuning. The 2nd string is a B, which is the same as standard tuning. And the top string is a D, a drop D again. So we're starting with 3 of the strings the same as standard tuning. This makes getting into the tuning relatively easy because you can use the 4th string as a reference point for tuning the bottom string. I've already got this tuned into open G, but if you play the 4th string, you can tune your bottom string down to D. Likewise, you can use that same D for tuning your top string. So you can use that D to tune the top string down a tone. You can use the 3rd string to tune down the 5th string because it's a G also. So we have this G, we can tune down the 5th string to a G. That gives us a tuning which now goes D, G, D, G, B, E. What that'll give us now is, when I just strum this chord open, I'm going to strum it from the 5th string, a G chord. The advantage of this is that we can now play a series of chords just by using a simple bar. So by playing the 5th fret, I now have a C chord. By playing at the 7th fret, I've got a D chord. Playing open, a G chord. Playing at the 12th fret, a G chord also. So this makes finding chords in an open tuning relatively easy.